Hi, fellow traders. How's everybody doing today? I've got a quick recap today. I've been going ever since we finished class. I haven't had time to really breathe. So I'm going to go through this recap, talk about what we did today, and take a shower and call it a night. It's been one of those afternoons. But I had a couple stocks on watch. BBBY had earnings yesterday. We had this huge gap down, but if you look at the candlestick formations here, we don't typically get huge moves out of this. And then especially we had a huge gap down. So I was real skeptical about this, but it was just something about it that just had me thinking, okay, yeah, this may be a good trade. It may open up at the open. And what I was looking at on this was how tight these deviation bands were from the VWAP. And you see how close they were. It was like, the top was up here around 1807. The bottom one was around 1760s, and it was less than 50 cents. And then this actually closed up at the open. You see, it just closed up. I'm like, man, but it was setting up. We were under the VWAP, and I'm like, this thing may just continue to trickle down all day. I've seen stocks do that. As a matter of fact, the other stock on my watch list did exactly that. We'll look at that in a second. But, I was expecting it to do it. Obviously, we just traded sideways all day. YNDX was the other stock on my watch. And you can see this did exactly what I expected BBBY to do. It never gave me a defined pullback so that I could actually take a good position in. Here, there was no way I was shorting it into the 200. Here we fell through. We never came back and gave it a legitimate test. And it never really set up for me to get in. I could have gotten in and actually made some money on this. But I'm working really, really hard to not make, bad judgments. This is not something that I do. I don't want to get in the habit of doing this. I got to wait for a defined pullback, and it never happened. So I never could get in this. But this is exactly what I was expecting this BBBY to do. And it didn't do it. So this is what happened. We were trading sideways. We popped up a little bit. The opening 5-minute candle. We put in the low. We opened up here. Didn't even try to push over the moving averages and VWAP here. And once we started selling off, I got in. I was a tad late getting in. Call it shell shock from the previous day, but I got in. Still wasn't too bad of an entry. Right around 1760. I got in. I was wanting to get in right under 70 at 1770, but and that 10 cents turned out to be a big deal because this thing never did move. We dropped down here, and 1750 just held and held and held. It was just, I'm telling you, we were watching level 2 and time and sales, and today was a real good lesson in reading price action. Looking at the candlestick formation, looking at time and sales and level 2, and confirming what we're seeing here. It all helps you learn price action. And it was a very, very good lesson. So if there's anything good that came out of this today, it's the fact that we were able to really look and see and really understand, what happens when you have a big fund or somebody sitting at a level that just won't let it go. And it pretty much did this all day. Never really dropped down below 17. And I just ran out of patience. I was waiting for it to get down here to this. This is the deviation band from, I think, a swim chart. I don't have it on DOS, so I've got to draw it. And I moved this along with the line. Like, it started at 1733, and eventually I just kept moving it down. That was my moving target. But we bounced here and recovered, and I just went ahead and took it all off. And it turned out to be the right move, because you said it didn't really do much else all day. It was really a dud. So only 67.85 today. Didn't really have anything else to set up. I mean, I was engaged. I was looking. Didn't really have anything to set up that really gave me a reason to trade. So just sat on that and move on. Like I said, I'm working on my discipline, making sure that patience level is there. I mean, I always had patience, even trading in my main, account, but making sure that I'm sticking to my rules and not being so loose. I can give stocks massive amounts of room in my other accounts. My swing account is well funded. I can let it go. My speed trader account's well funded. I can let things go. A small account, you can't. You got to stay on top of things. You got to manage your risk so that you can grow. And when you lose, you don't want to lose much. So I've had a struggle the last 2 weeks, but after today, I'm only down just over $100, since I opened this account back up. So, I think that's pretty good. I'm managing it. I'm getting everything together. And let's face it, these last 2 weeks has not been real good for the mid-cap stocks that I trade, because we don't have any really reporting earnings, and we don't really have any solid catalysts. There's one or two every now and then that will make good moves, but you just have to be in the right place at the right time. And I just haven't been there this week. So that's it for the day trading account today. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but we have all the bank stocks that are reporting tomorrow. And they have huge floats, so I don't know how active that's going to be either. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right. So Tesla, this was a day trade, so to speak. It had some bad news come out, and I was looking for this thing to tank. And when Tesla tanks, it'll tank 10 points in no time. So, because I was already in a swing trade, which we're going to look at in a minute. I was already in a swing trade, and I didn't have a lot of capital. So I could only get 200 shares, or a buying power. I could only get 200 shares of this. And you can see it kind of bounced and went against me a little bit. But I still had the conviction that this thing was going to roll over. I know I've seen this enough. I've been in this enough. I know how big money works. I've kind of figured out what they do. Yeah, sometimes I fall into their trap, but I know I'm falling into their traps before I do it. I'm just wishing that they don't do it, what they're going to do, but they always do. But knowing that this thing was going to come back, I was expecting a big 10-point move right off the bat. We didn't get it. Really only moved a couple of points. But, I took it off at the end of the day. And it worked out real good. I mean, we put $632 in the bank, which was good, and which was added to the CAR swing trade. Now, I did make a mistake on this CAR, and I know it shows right here minus 98.70, but that's because they pull the bids, and when they do that, it causes the P&L to look crazy. But I did take profit on this, and I did book over $400. You can see by the P&L. That's why we've got more here. But this is a question I get a lot. It shows total 533.78, but I actually booked 10.10.70, and that's because at the end of the day, they pull the bids. People close their orders out, and it gets spready because this doesn't really trade aftermarket, and we're gonna get that. You used to see that all the time with SCG. So the mistake I made on this was, let's go back and look at. You got to look at this. I got in here at 9.48, perfect entry. We were doing real good on it, and at lunch, I'm getting ready to go to lunch, so I want to put in an order to take half off at high day. 52-week high, which is right here, 50.87. This is my first target on this. Now, I'm expecting this to blow through, but this is my first target. So I was trying to put an order out there, and me being so short biased, I went ahead and did a buy order instead of a sell order. So as soon as I put the buy order in, it filled, screwed up my doggone average. My average was 48.73. It brought it up to 49.08. And I was just in a lot heavier than I wanted to be. And then the market, we had the report about, we're thinking about military strikes, and then Russia warned against the military strikes, and I was like, you know what? I don't like this. I need to lighten up. So I went ahead and took 1,000 shares off and left the 500 on, and that's how I ended up with that. But you can see this was on our scan, my swing scan from this weekend, and I didn't catch it here. It pulled back. I was able to catch it here, so I'm looking for it to continue to make this march up. So we'll see tomorrow what it does. I am prepared to hold this over the weekend. I knew going into this that I would probably hold it over the weekend, but I was anticipating being able to take half off here before the weekend came, but don't look like that's going to happen. So that's my swing trade for today. I'm still in it. I took 1,000 shares off of this. I accidentally got in 500 too much anyway, so took it off and booked 10.10.70 today. So not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. So that's it for me. Oh, one other question I get, and I want to address that too. That I get a lot. Everybody looks at, okay, you got 6 trades here, but you got 5 tickets here. Well, what happens is they'll split orders into, a couple of trades. Not always am I going to be able to fill 1,000 shares at one time, or 500 or 1,000. Sometimes, like this Tesla, I got filled at 200, but then they'll break it up into two $100 tickets. But I don't get billed for this when they split it up. I only get billed for the ticket that I put out. So even though this is two different trades, I only get billed for one ticket because my order was for 200. Because sometimes you'll see here where it'll fill three shares, 47, then maybe 52. I mean, sometimes you get some odd numbers in here. And you'll have a lot more trades on this column than you have tickets. So this is, what they go by. So I just want to clear that up because I do get that a lot. Along with, why is this saying negative when you book money? Just want to clear that up. All right, guys, be good. Have a safe evening, safe night, or morning, depending on where you are. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.